What's up, guys? It's Brent with Lykins Motorsports. Wanted to show you some cool stuff this morning before we do a little bit of work on our 4.6 liter motor. The first of which is the pistons that we're going to have for the next iteration of this build. These are custom Molly pistons. Been waiting for these guys for a little bit. Wait till you see what these guys weigh. So obviously this is not with the pin or rings or anything, but 253 grams, 254 grams. Super light. So this will work perfect with our aluminum rods, and it'll be a little while till we get to this point. But really looking forward to seeing what the next iteration will do with the trick flow heads and some higher compression. These will be probably around 14-to-1 with a trick flow head. So good looking slugs. All right, got something else to show you. As you can see, I've got some parts laid out, and that's because our cams came in. So a couple weeks ago, they said that they were waiting on some parts to fix one of their cam grinders, but I got notification that they shipped, and here they are. They just showed up. So here's the left cam. And the specs that that we asked for. So this has been a minute. It's been a little bit since we talked about this, but it took a good bit of work to find a substantially larger camshaft in duration and overlap that wouldn't kill us on piston to valve clearance. So I have fingers crossed that I'll be able to put this thing in without anything, you know, going wrong as far as piston to valve clearance. So that left cam is the one that goes on first. It's the one with the gear closest to the block, so we'll put it on first. We'll set up off of number 6 cylinder, and we'll find our true top dead center, and then we'll get our cam bolted down and start the process. So if we don't have, so I think we're going to have plenty of exhaust piston to valve clearance. If we don't have enough intake piston to valve clearance, I'm just going to retard it until we do. At this point, I'm not interested in yanking the heads off and cutting valve reliefs and changing valves and this and that. We're going to make it work one way or the other. So I'm going to get that cam out of the box. I'm going to wash it, and I'm going to get my degree wheel set up, and then we're going to work on this thing. Here's a shot of the cam. Beautiful billet steel stuff. I like the wrench lug. That's a nice little addition. All right, so the first thing we do always when degreeing a cam, or in this instance, you know, we're going to be checking piston to valve clearance, but we're going to be degreeing the cam too. You have to find your true top dead center. If you don't do that, then all of your dimensions are going to be off. That's the very first step and the most important one. What I like to do on this engine, this is a solid piston stop that goes into the spark plug hole. It is so long that when you screw it in, it usually, and it's not adjustable, so you usually end up like way down away from top dead center. On an adjustable piston stop, you can pretty much park this part just a few degrees, you know, either side of top dead center, and then, you know, your degree wheel will be something like this instead of all the way using the whole degree wheel. So what I generally like to do is get a rough top dead center. I put a screwdriver down the spark plug hole and just kind of rotate the engine back and forth until I think it's close, and then I stick that down in there, and it won't screw in until you roll the engine over. But I get that down in there, it dropped down in there, tighten it up, and then we can find true top dead center. All right, so we got our piston stop in there. I'm gonna back it up until we hit it. It goes slowly. That is, and it hits solid right there. So 48.5, and then I go back the other way. Slowly. If I had my rough close, then it should stop somewhere around 48.5. But it's not going to. That would be too easy. Okay, so it stopped at 31. So 48.5 minus 31. It's too early for math. What would that be? 17.5. Divide that by 2. So roughly 8.5 degrees. So I'm gonna move this to about 39, and we'll see. I'll lock my degree wheel down and we'll see what that does. All right, so we're locked down. Well, can't have that. So I gotta tighten my, you see that right there? This is a little stuff you gotta look out for. Sometimes these crank turning sockets that are made to hold the degree wheel, they don't fit all too well, and you just got to pay attention to that. So there's enough slack in there that would really mess with your day. So let me find a way to tighten this up, and then I'll get back with you. All right, so we're sitting on about 40 and a half. And 40.5. So we'll check it one more time. All right, so it's off. So if I split the difference, I should be somewhere around 40 degrees. So I'll readjust my degree wheel. Can't do it holding the phone, so just stand by here for a second. All right, so you should be on 40. So like I said, you spend a lot of time nailing this down. That's within like a quarter of a degree, so I wouldn't be able to split the difference on that to nail it down. That'll be good enough. That's probably about less than a half a degree. So what we'll do now, get our piston stop out and mount our cam. I think I'll be able to get the chain and everything around the degree wheel, and we'll be looking for the mark on the bottom of the timing gear and then the mark on our cam gear, and we'll go from there. So let me get the cam all lubed up and mounted up. That'll take me a little bit, and then I'll get right back to you. Okay, these torque at 90 pound-inches. Those are torqued, and we got good rotation. I'm looking to make sure that we don't have any lobe contact. It doesn't look like we do. All right, so we can go ahead and get our cam gear. And I think we need a spacer and then cam gear. Nice new comp cams, adjustable gears. Nice. All right, I torqued our cam gear bolt. So what I did, 1.25 wrench, and just spun it over until it fouled itself against the cylinder head, and 85 pound-feet on this guy with some Loctite on the bolt. And we'll get us near 12 o'clock position on that one. And this gear, so I took my degree wheel off. I parked it exactly at 0 degrees, and I haven't turned the engine over so I can put it right back there. But I marked our teeth, make it easier for me to get the chain on. So I'm gonna put the chain on right now. All right, these chains haven't been lubed up. I'll do that at a later date. This is just for mock-up purposes. So our dark link is on our colored spot on our gear color tooth, and then we've got timing mark with the dark link. I'm gonna slap our I'm gonna put an old timing chain guide and tensioner on, and that'll give us tension we need to roll through this without worrying about anything popping off. And then we can get to the valve timing stuff. All right, we got our guide in. I'll put this in. Never done this before. Don't make fun of me. Still making sure that our timing marks are good. They are. I've got all brand new guides and tensioners. So I'm just using the old stuff for mock-up purposes right now. And what I did was I compressed the piston in the tensioner and popped a piece of coat hanger in it to hold it. Not really torquing anything right now because it all will come back apart. All right, so we got a cam in. I can put my degree wheel back on, and I'm sitting on number 6. What I can do is I've got an adjustable solid lash adjuster. I'll pop that in there, and I'll pop one of our factory followers in there, and then set the lash to 0. And we should be sitting at 0 on our timing. So whatever the cam has ground in it, it should be straight up. So 114 LSA, the intake center line should be 114, the exhaust center line should be 114. And we can just roll over. I'll get my dial indicator mounted so that I can check. Let me see if I got a good clear path to that. because I will need to be on that retainer to see how much clearance we got. So may have to get creative. All right, so I have lash now. So these solid lash adjusters come out of there, have a little set screw in them, and just throw it on the floor and it self centers. No. Back the set screw out and then try it again. So we still got a little bit of lash. Don't want it. Pop that out. Set the set screw back out. Put it back in. Don't have any lash, but I may be to the point where I'm opening the valve just a little bit. I got some weak checking springs on there, so you get the process. I'm just going to adjust that set screw a little bit more with both hands, and then we'll get it dialed in. Okay, so what I've realized is I don't have all the tools that I need to get my dial indicator down here. What I usually use for to ride on the lifter or whatever when I degree a pushrod engine doesn't want to work, I just kind of need some kind of a flexible attachment where I can get in there. What I can do in the meantime, that's the exhaust side, so I've already rolled it over. Make sure everything works. So we at least have enough clearance to roll the engine over on the exhaust side. I'm gonna try it on the intake side, then we'll come back. All right, so here's our intake side. It rolls over without any issues. So we know that we at least have 2 or 3 thousandths clearance, right? So here's our exhaust valve on that cylinder opening, and here's our intake starting to open. I'm gonna start at about 20 degrees before top dead center, and I can just check with my hand. Okay, we got plenty of clearance there. We'll go to 10. Plenty of clearance there. About top dead center. All right, we've got clearance, but it's not a lot. So, as I mentioned, I'm gonna have to go and buy a couple more tools to mess with this. I mean, if I were to guess, it's probably 60 thousandths or so. Tight spot should be between top dead center and 10 degrees. So let's try 5 and see if it gets any worse. Not about the same. So I think we're gonna be good. To quantify how much clearance we have, I'm gonna have to rig up another dial indicator, mag base, where I can swing out and just get my tip on that retainer right there, and then we can quantify it. I'll also need that to degree the cam, so I'll get back with you here in a second. All right, so I've got a better rig now, and we are sitting at top dead center with our dial indicator at 0. So right now we are measuring the distance to the piston. So 10, 20, 30, 40, about 47 thousandths. We'll check it at 5 degrees after top dead center. 0 our dial indicator. Grab our rocker arm. 20, 30. So about 33 thousandths. And then we'll go to 10 degrees after top dead center. 0 our dial indicator. Grab our rocker arm. So about 27 thousandths. We'll keep on going just to see if it gets tighter. And it's going way back the other way. So 27 thousandths is our tight spot on our intake valve, the piston clearance. I do believe, I'll have to go back and look at the video. So we did a video a couple months ago of where we were just kind of backing into what would fit. I do believe that we were right at that 25-30 thousandths mark for intake piston valve clearance. So our calculations, I'll have to go back and look at that video, but I think we were pretty close to being correct with that. And now we'll just hop over to the exhaust and do it. All right, so I'm on our exhaust side now. I switched over our latch adjuster, and you do have to change how far that set screw is sticking out. There's differences in between intake and exhaust side. So let's roll this check over, and there's the exhaust valve, exhaust valve starting to open. And we're gonna check this, we're gonna check the exhaust side. I'm gonna have to reset my dial indicator. That'll be okay though. Our tight spot on the exhaust side is going to be about probably somewhere between 10 degrees before top dead center and top dead center. So we'll do the same thing here. I'll readjust my dial indicator so I'm touching. I'm not even touching. And we'll take the same measurements. All right, I'm readjusted. Our dial indicator is on 0. Let me see here if I can push this with my finger. So we've got way over 100 thousandths there. So I'm gonna go on to, we'll try 15 degrees before top dead center. And you may be asking, Brent, why are you doing this without degreeing the cam first? Well, in this specific situation, piston and valve clearance is kind of more important than where the cam is coming in. So I just want to make sure that, you know, we have piston and valve clearance, and then I'll come back and degree the cam here in a few minutes. So at this point, we have, again, way over 100 thousandths. We'll go to 10 degrees before top dead center. 0 our dial indicator. We've got 108 something and change. We'll go to 5 degrees before top dead center. 0 our dial indicator. So about, what, 115 there. So it seemed like our tight spot was a minute ago. It's 130. So let's back it up 15 degrees before top dead center. 0 our dial indicator. Quit moving. Okay, 125 or so. 10. Yeah, so 110, 113, 14. So about 28 thousandths on the intake side and what, about 115 thousandths on the exhaust side. Both of those numbers will be just fine. Now I'm just going to degree the cam and see where we are. At this point, if I wanted to even try to advance the cam timing, we would probably lose the majority of our clearance on the intake side. So it is what it is at this point. It's not going anywhere. I just want to measure it and see where it is, if that makes any sense. So we'll do the exhaust side first. We'll measure it off of the valve. We can't measure off the lobe on an overhead cam. So we'll check the numbers off the valve. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and degree the exhaust cam. We're gonna go ahead and degree the exhaust side of this cam. You guys wouldn't believe this. I've done this at least 10 times so far. So I've had dial indicator problems. My degree wheel keeps coming loose and losing. My voice keeps going in and out. This is, I may have to pick this up another day, but I'll give it one more try. So we're on the exhaust side. We're on the heel of the lobe. I've zeroed my dial indicator, and cam card says the exhaust valve should open at 56.5 degrees. So we'll see how close it is. All right, so here we go. It's pretty close. There's 50, there's 60, so 55, 56. So if we keep on going, there's 100. My dial indicator is not staying in contact. Should have 500 lift on. So if you don't know what I was doing there, the dial indicator is kind of rubbing the follower, and I have to give it a little bit of help every now and again. So on the exhaust side, we should have 500 lift. Looks like we got about 509. It's probably just because of these factory followers. The ratio is just going to vary just a little bit. So if we come back down, on the back side, there's 500, 4, 3, 2, 1. If we stop at 50, we should close at like 8.5 degrees. Closing at 8. Dude, this is pretty spot on. Looking good so far. So exhaust side is good, and I'll hop over to the intake side and check it, and then I guess there's really not much to check. Everything's, like I said before, I'm just degreeing it just to be degreeing it. I'm more worried about piston valve clearance, and right here where it's parked, we got we got good piston to valve clearance. So I'm just going through the motions right now. I'll do the intake side, then we'll hop over here, put the passenger side cam on and do the same thing. I'm just trying to see if there's differences in cam timing between side to side. All right, so we're set up on the intake side. Here's 50 thousandths. It's at 4 degrees. Says we should be at 5. I can't I can't adjust it. Well, I could adjust it, but I'm not going to. So we're gonna leave it right there, and we'll check our valve lift and our closing point. There will be 400, 50, 60, 70, about 78. We should have 475 on the valve lift. So there's 450, 400, 300, 200, 100, 50. Should be at 53 degrees. We're at 54. Good job, bullet cams. All right, so I'm going to park our engine at top dead center with our pointer so I can pull the degree wheel off. We'll get this other cam on and hook up our chain and degree that side. All right, I spared you the boredom of watching all that go together. For some reason, I have lost the washer. This isn't the right washer. I'll have to get another washer for this cam. And I'm gonna go ahead and buy some new bolts for these retainers. The cam, I don't know what these things are called. Cam bearing caps, something like that. So like I said, it's not been my day. I went to torqued this side. These torque at like 90. I was going to go in like 3 increments, so 30 pound-inches. I thought my smallest torque wrench was on pound-inch. It's on pound-feet. So this dude right here got really stretched. Or whichever one you start out with. Maybe this one right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and buy those. I don't want to have any issues with that. Then I was putting the chain on and hit my mag base. You can tell my little pointer stub is not straight anymore. So, not been a good day. Regardless, we're gonna move on. I've got number 1 cylinder with checking springs. I'm gonna do the exact same thing on this side and move our lash adjuster over and check. I'll check piston to valve clearance just because it's good data to go from side to side just to see what the differences are. So we'll do that, and I'm not going to bore you with the process. I'll just show you the quick results, okay? About 4.5 degrees on the open. 477 lift. Intake valve closing, 53 degrees, which is pretty much where it says it should be. So this one's going to be dead on as well. We'll just check piston and valve clearance. Top dead center, we have about 30 thousandths. 5 degrees after top dead center, we don't have a lot. About 14. I think on this side we had like 28. This side we got 14. I'll check it at 10 degrees after. 10. So, what do we do? There's 15 degrees after top dead center. $20, $22. It's odd that there's that much difference between sides. I'm wondering if there's a lot of carbon on this piston. I'm gonna have to think about this one. I really don't want a retard one camshaft. Alright, so here's what I'm thinking. I'm using checking springs. You always lose lift with the actual spring just because of parts deflection. I'm gonna run this. So I figure we'll gain another 15 thousandths or so with the real spring. I guess I could check that. But I think we'll be okay. So it is an overhead cam engine. We don't have any push rods. Essentially, no heavy lifters. The valves are stupid tiny. Everything is very light. And on the intake side, the valve is chasing the piston down. So it's a lot less worrisome if it's the exhaust side, if the valve is chasing, or if the piston is chasing the valve back down to the seat. If that valve bounces a little bit, then you got contact. So I think I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna leave it right here. Actually, I'm gonna loosen these and torque them down to where comp wants them torqued down. I'm gonna set the cam is dead on. So everything is good to go there. And what I'll do is when the new, whatever who this is called, the bolts come in, I'll just go ahead and pull the cam out, and that'll make it easy for me to swap those valve springs back. Then I'll put it all back together with the new guides and tensioner and all that stuff, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So I've got a set of parts here going to the powder coater, and timing cover, valve covers, and we'll make this thing look really nice. All right, guys, that was convoluted, I know, and you should have been on this end. Things falling, it's just not been a good day. My little dude is bent, and that makes me so mad. But he's got character now. All right, I'll leave you guys alone. Hope you have a good 4th of July holiday, and I'll see you on the flip side.